Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 53.1 of the 72 review. It's going to be something a little bit different. Obviously, I've not been well for the last week or so. I'm hoping that my throat and voice holds up for these couple of videos, because what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a deep dive in each division. So this one is dedicated to League Two. We've just had a look. The missed fixtures are all the way back from the 28th of November. So I can't remember what I had for dinner yesterday. I don't know about you, Ian. So I think we're going to do it slightly differently.
61. I can't remember walking upstairs.
But yeah, we're going to do it slightly differently. So I've got a presentation where we have got our predicted league table positions for every team and the current position that they are in. So we're going to go through it and see how close we are at the minute, and just say a few words about each team. Hopefully get through it in about half an hour to 45 minutes, and then we'll go on to League One and then the Championship in separate videos. So all being well, fingers crossed, this will be uploaded on Friday morning. League One on Saturday morning, League Two, Championship on Sunday morning, and then we will be back to the live stream to have a look at this weekend's fixtures. Now, that being said, if you don't know him already, I will introduce Ian, currently on Suicide Watch. The 72 review has not been here. The therapy has not been here for the last couple of Sundays, and it's been a tough old time. We will get to the Championship in a couple of videos, but how are you overall, mate?
I'm fine. What I anticipated had happened, the form dropping off for Rotherham, the idiocy with the manager situation, which incidentally has just been resolved. We've got Liam Richardson on a 4-year deal, ex-Wigan, ex-Accrington, good coach. He has my backing, obviously, and he would about a third or fourth choice as well, because first it was Nathan Jones, then Gary Rowett, and then there were some rumours about Steve Evans coming back. I'd have thrown myself out at bedroom window if he'd have come back. But we've finally settled on a manager and Liam Richardson. But yeah, we're looking and playing like relegation certainties.
You never know, though, with a new gaffer in, bringing in new ideas and things. You're only 8 points away.
It's the hope that kills you. That's why I've abandoned it and had no hope.
Yeah, just get rid of it right away. Yeah. Jonathan is dipping in and out at the minute. Once he's back, we will get him on the MK Dons fan. Always wants to try and get on a Sunday, but due to work commitments and stuff, can normally not get on, which is unfortunate. So we're doing this on Monday evening. Hopefully he can come back and join in this conversation. Lee is currently at work, and Jake is awaiting a new arrival. So fingers crossed that all that goes well. So yeah, we've just got me and Ian tonight. So I will put the missed fixtures and missed results ticking along the bottom. But yeah, let's make a start, Ian. So Crawley Town, try and remember back to way back when, before the season even started, we thought Crawley were a mess on and off the pitch. So we had them rock bottom. I think it was unanimous. And what a start to the season they've had. Mid-table, 9 wins from 23 draws. They're not looking too bad, are they?
They're not. They're looking comfortable in mid-table. Everybody had them to go down because of the off-the-field mess, with the cryptocurrency people and all that. But they've galvanised and they've turned some really good teams over. I mean, fair play to them. And they're looking like they could, well, they will, I would have thought, comfortably survive, if not thrive, really. A mid-table is a good halfway point for them.
Yeah, it's a good start to the season. Jonathan's back. Welcome, Jonathan. How are you? Good?
I mean, you're right, guys. Sorry about that. My internet's playing up for some reason, so I keep dropping out now and again.
Don't worry about it, mate. If you go, we will get you back in. So if you missed it, what I said is we're going to do it slightly differently. So the past or the missed fixtures or missed results that we've got are ticking along the bottom. But we're just going to go through our predicted League Two table and where they currently are, and just say a few words about each team, and hopefully fly through it in about half an hour, 40 minutes, and we'll then move on to League One and the Championship, and hopefully get these videos out over the weekend. So moving on to Harrogate, 23rd. Harrogate, for me, one of those teams that are always going to be kind of teetering above the relegation zone, and it seems that way this season. They've had a okay start, but currently sitting in 18th on 24 points. It's tight down at the bottom, but for me, they're just one of those teams that are going to be kind of in and around it.
They're a funny team because they can pick some really unexpected results, especially away from home. They're beating teams that they're having no right to beat, and then losing to teams around them.
Yeah.
I think they still will be around the bottom end. But what I do admire about Harrogate Town is that they've stuck with Simon Weaver as manager since they came into the Football League, regardless of whether they had a good season, a bad season, an indifferent season. They're a lovely little club, and they're building on the stadium the whole time. And I think I'd tip them to survive, but only just. I think they'll be in the bottom 4, but I think they will survive.
Yeah. Moving on to Morecambe, they've had a decent start to the season compared to what do we know about football? We predicted them in 22nd. I think we predicted them 22nd because we just expected them to have kind of that hangover after relegation. Jonathan, have you seen much of Morecambe this season or not?
I've only really seen the highlights, to be honest, because we were due to play them just before Christmas, and from what I've liked what I've seen, attacking wise, they seem really sort of up there. Obviously, they've got a goal scorer in Michael Mellon. Seems to be their new Cole Stockton. They've obviously had a change of manager as well. I think that's going to affect them longer term. I've not really heard much about the new manager, but he seems quite a positive guy from what I've watched and seen. I did have them as a dark horse for the playoffs under Derek Adams, but I'm not quite so sure they'll have that now. All depends on how many players stay in January, because I imagine there might be quite a good turnover, because they have got some real good players in there, Adam Mayer, Eli King, etc. But when you go to the Mazuma, you know you're going to have a tough game. Got to earn the right to get a point or anything there. So, as Stockport found out at the weekend, so
yeah,
I'm being quietly impressed with their season so far.
Yeah, definitely. On to Forest Green, another relegated team from League One last season. We thought they'd struggle along with Morecambe, and it's seeming that way at the minute. Really struggling at the moment. 19 games played, 4 wins, 3 defeats, 3 draws, 12 defeats. They've only scored 20, conceded 35. It's been a tough start for them, hasn't it? In League Two, and they look in serious danger of dropping into the non-league and doing a double relegation. Do you think they could avoid it, Ian?
I think it'd take a Herculean effort to avoid it. They don't look good at all. On the road, they're poor, and at their own ground, they do grind out the occasional surprise result. But yeah, I can see them dropping into non-league. I can really do see them probably occupying one of the bottom two spots.
Yeah, where they currently are at the moment. Wimbledon, Jonathan, you're not like viewing this one. I'm sorry about this, but we predicted them quite low down in 20th, and they've had an incredible start. They're currently sitting 7th, 8 wins from 27 draws, only 5 defeats. It's a cracking start for them, and it's just the question: do you think they can continue it as the season goes on and clinch one of those playoff spots? I know it'll be difficult to say yes.
It all depends on whether they keep that Al Hamadi in January. I've got a feeling that some championship clubs might be sniffing around, because I hate to praise them, but you can't really knock his goal scoring ability. It's just a different level to what there is in League Two. Obviously, I think James Tilley's come off the boil a bit goals wise. Had a cracking win over the basket case, that is Swindon, at the weekend as well. Sorry, Swindon fans. But yeah, they're still in the FA Cup as well. Johnny Jackson's done a good job, turned the home form round as well. We were due to play them if it wasn't for an international break as well. So I'm not sure whether it's a good thing we've not played them or not. But yeah, can't knock them so far this season, as much as it's great to me to say.
Yeah, very good start for Wimbledon this season. On to Crewe, one of the division's entertainers. Ian, I think you've seen Crewe, haven't you, this season?
No, I've not seen them yet, but I will be doing. But Crewe, to me, have been incredible this season. I mean, I think it's 3 times they've turned a 2-goal deficit out to get points. All their goals, all their matches seem to be goal laden. Up front, they're exceptionally good, and but the trouble is they seem weak at the back. So if you go to a Crewe game, you're probably expecting 3-2 either way. But
guaranteed goal.
Lee Bell's done a great job there, and if they get in the playoffs, it'll be a massive success.
Yeah, definitely, I'd agree with that. We had them down in 19th at the start of the season, so really underestimated the ability that Crewe have got as a squad. On to Newport County now. I do need to offer my apologies to one of the viewers. He had a bit of a pop in the comments saying that we don't seem to mention Newport because they're just a team that kind of averages mid-table, so do tend to get overlooked. So I do apologise for that. The point that we should have really mentioned, and we did kind of skirt over it in the last video, was the fact that Newport ended Stockport's unbelievable run, which would have given them a record number of wins on the bounce. I think it was 16 wins on the bounce.
Yeah.
So I think they are one of those teams where you just expect to see them like smack bang in the middle of the table, and that's kind of where we had them in 18th.
Yeah.
But it was
any team that goes to Rodney Parade's gonna. Any team that's going to Rodney Parade is going to get a hell of a game.
Yeah, I mean, we got battered there for near the start of the season, didn't we?
Yeah,
they're a decent quality side.
Yeah, they are, and currently sit 15th, and they're one of those teams that can bloody noses if they're not prepared right for the game. So a solid start to the season for Newport, and we will try to mention you a little bit more in the upcoming episodes. On to Walsall, another team that we were pretty close with as a panel. Predicted Walsall in 17th, currently in 16th. It's been a bit of a inconsistent start, hasn't it? 6 wins, 6 draws, 8 defeats. Scored 26, conceded 32. It's a very mid-table looking sort of table, that, isn't it?
It is.
It is. It really is.
Go on, Jonathan. You take this one. Yeah.
All right. So apart from really Freddie Draper, who's been banging the goals in when he's not been injured, and how they're not playing Danny Johnson more, because he's a goal scorer at this level, I'll never know. Got a vital win at the weekend against Notts County. By all accounts, it was deserved, and it's taken a bit of the pressure off Matt Sadler. I do want to mention the ludicrous decision in their FA Cup tie where they called the game off 5 minutes before it kicked off. And that's down to the TV. I don't care what you say, that they were trying to keep that on for the TV purposes, and they should have just called it when they did earlier, because it wasn't fair on the fans that had travelled there. But going away from that, I've seen them live, and they didn't really inspire me that day, to be honest. They weren't bad, but they weren't great. I do fear for them if Draper goes back to Lincoln, but I suppose where they are in the table is probably where they expect to be, given such a tough league. Yeah,
it's certainly at the point of the season where kind of the table has settled down, and you are where you are for a reason, and 16th is about right. Now I've got to be careful with what I say on this one, because I've had some hammer from Colchester. I'm going to say
you take this one, Dan. You take
yeah, go on, Dan. You take this one.
So I had Colchester in 23rd, I think, in my pre-season predictions, and I got some absolute hammering in the comments. I think Colchester have got a good youth setup that can bring players through with ability, but for me, I just can't see where it's going to click, and it's not gelling. And we had a conversation on the pre-season predictions, and we decided to bump you up to 16th. I wish I'd have stuck to my guns, because currently in 22nd, currently the worst defence, 42 conceded in 20 games, I think it is, 21 games, 42 goals conceded.
2 a game.
I just can't see it getting any better. Obviously, in the comments, Colchester fans, let us know where you guys think it's gone wrong, because there's a lot of people, Gabe Sutton, for one, who does wax lyrical about Colchester and the squad that you've got, but it's just not quite happening this season. And I don't know if I had a crystal ball at the time or it's just a very lucky guess, but it's just not quite started for you this season. And currently in 22nd, it's a big corner to turn in the second half of the season for me. On to Sutton, Ian. We kind of had them as a mid-table team, difficult to play against, big physical, typical League One team. But maybe the quality of League Two is increased, and it's more of a footballing division now, not just a big lump it forward and somebody big strong up front can bring it down, or big strong defenders can knock you about. And maybe the footballing sides have started to just unpick Sutton, and is that the reason why they're struggling at bottom?
Well, yeah, it is really. I mean, they're still relatively inexperienced football league-wise, although they have been in the league for, I think this is the 3rd season. But yeah, they are your typical oofball team. Ump it up to the big lads at the top. They're capable of getting results, but not on a consistent basis. And that's why I think they will struggle. And I think it'll be a toss-up between Sutton and Colchester, which one buys it with Forest Green. Yeah. But I would predict Sutton to go back to non-league.
Yeah, me too. On to Tranmere, a tough season for them. A team at League Two that would be expecting better, a big fan base, and there is expectation at Tranmere, and we had them kind of mid-table because of the quality that League Two's got this season. But again, it's just a bit of an inconsistent start, and a tough start has got them playing catch up. Jonathan, 21st for Tranmere, it's not what that fan base would expect, I don't think.
No, definitely not. I mean, I want to go with the positives first. I think recently they've hit a bit of form. I think they've won 3 out of the last 4 or something like that, and they've picked up a bit of form. Rob Apter's stepped up and scored some real good goals recently as well. They, as you say, the squad should be better than their current position. You look up top as well with what they've got, and the quality in midfield of like Connor Jennings and people like that, and they should be doing a lot better. I think they'll be more than fine. I think they've got a manager that spreads positivity if you follow him on Twitter or X, and I think that might just carry them over the line. But I was expecting a little bit more out of them this season, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, like I say, maybe it's starting. Sorry,
I think Adkins coming in has made a positive difference, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the 2 results that are ticking all on the bottom. A 2-2 draw at Mansfield, which is a very good result, and then a 2-1 win against Newport as well. So a couple of decent results have potentially started to turn the corner for Tranmere. On to Accrington Stanley. We went with 13th at the start of the season. They're currently in 10th. Not a bad start, but it's one of those teams where it's strange not seeing them in League One. They seem to have been a constant at League One all while I've been watching football. And they dropped down last season, and we thought that it'd be a similar season to what we had last year. And I don't know, they're just kind of teetering in and around the playoffs. Do you think they've got enough in to kind of push for that top 7, or do you think where they are now probably is where they're going to finish?
It's doubtful. I mean, you always go to the Crown Ground and get a hell of a game. I mean, we've discussed this before we came on air. Accrington are difficult to beat, whether they're home or away, but it's consistency. It's some of the goals they've conceded have been absolutely stupid. Defensively, they look weak. going forward, they've always got a goal threat. I think where they are now, 10th, between 10th and 12th is where they're going to finish. I think it's a problem with consistency. But you're going to get a game with Aki anywhere you go. And I think they're going to have to hold on to that Tommy Lee. Well, I don't know whether he's a full-back or an attacking midfielder. He scores boatloads of goals.
Yeah.
So if they can keep him in January, they might have a slight sniff of the playoffs, but I doubt it.
Yeah, January could be massive for a lot of teams in League Two. Salford, a team that's consistently been there or thereabouts in the playoffs for a number of seasons. It's been a dreadful start for them, hasn't it? 20th in the table, 6 wins, 4 draws, 10 defeats. Just a real poor start for Salford.
Are you taking this, Jonathan?
Yeah, I can take this if you want. They're just they've got the quality there. They've got a few injuries to a few key players. I think Elliot Watt's just come back from injury, I think, or is close to. I think Callum Hendry's another one up top that they're really missing. They've depended a lot on physical Matt Smith up top to get them the goals and the hold-up play. They played all right when we played them about a month ago. They were 2-1 up at half-time, but we just put our foot on the gas second half and ran out comfortable winners. And unfortunately, with the Manchester United connections, I think everyone's expecting the corner flag to be put up soon on X. Yeah. But maybe they're thinking give them a bit more time, because they've too many times they've got rid of managers and paid the consequences, essentially.
It's been a bit of a revolving door, that Salford's manager's chair, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, yeah. I mean, they didn't look a lot against us, but they beat us 3-0. Just Smith, absolute unreal.
I saw him lose at home to Walsall earlier on in the season, and Salford, apart from Smith up top, they had nothing else.
Yeah, we just couldn't contain him. On to Grimsby, another team where we were probably swayed by the positive season last season and thought they may ride that crest of the wave and go into this season. But their away forms really hindered them, hasn't it? I think the last straw was when they played Doncaster at Donny, and they didn't even let the manager get back on the bus. They sacked him there and then because their away form was just absolutely dreadful, and it has given them a mountain to climb. Currently in 19th, we predicted them kind of solid mid to upper end of the table. It's a tight division. I think there's potential that they could go on a little bit of a run, but I think they've probably given themselves a little bit too much to do.
I think they've made an astute managerial decision appointing David Artell, because he's got crew out of this division before. He knows what he's doing. He can galvanise the troops. I saw them beat Stevenage 3-2 earlier on this season, and they look pretty good. They've got a good strike force. Danny Rose always scores goals. The midfield's fairly strong. Defensively, a bit iffy. But I would imagine that they'll finish higher than 19th. I think they'll be a comfortable mid-table.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. On to probably the surprise package, or one of the surprise packages, definitely the surprise package of League Two. I think I've got one for League One. I'm not sure about the Championship, but yeah, certainly the surprise package for League Two has to be Barrow. Had a really good season last season, but they've just pushed on from that, haven't they? I mean, they've 10 wins, 7 draws. They've only been beaten 3 times. They've got the best defensive record in the division with only conceding 16 goals. How are they doing it?
Pete Wild. That's all I can say. The guy's just brilliant. They came to us earlier in the season and we were 2-0 up uncomfortable, but they never swayed away from their style of play. They were one of the best sides to come to us, and deservedly got a point, possibly could have got more. when you've got Dom Telford and Emile Ekwar up top, you're always guaranteed goals. Ben Whitfield can't even get a game at the minute, such as the start of the season that they're having. To have that off the bench is phenomenal. They've got a real good, underrated goalkeeper at this level as well. And, well, you talk about fortresses. I think, are they unbeaten at home this season? Am I right?
I think they might be, yeah.
So it's wherever you are in League Two, it's a long trek up to Barrow.
Yeah.
So
I think that makes a difference, doesn't it? Geographically, it makes a difference.
Yeah, it does indeed. But fantastic season for Barrow so far. On to Swindon. I think this is the first one that we've got spot on so far. We predicted 9th, and they are 9th. Jonathan, you've already mentioned the absolute chaotic nature of Swindon. 43 goals scored, 40 conceded, 8 wins, 6 draws, 7 defeats. It's been an entertaining season so far, but not one that you'd want to watch as a fan of the club. Not bad for a neutral though.
I mean, any chairman or board member who sits there and watch a team concede 7 goals to a non-league team in the FA Cup is going to have to start asking questions. I mean, they'll score a boatload of goals, but what happens if Jake Young goes back to his parent club, Bradford, in January? I mean, they've got Charlie Austin there, and he'll always score goals, but defensively, they're shambolic. I mean, they didn't play too bad in the game I watched them, because I watched them play Harrogate, I think it was last month. They drew 1-1, and defensively they looked okay. But yeah, Jonathan's got it spot on in a basket case of a club.
But 9th is not a bad position, but I think...
Yeah, but I think they expect more at Swindon, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Absolute tonks last weekend, 4-0 by Wimbledon as well.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Not only is Jake Young possibly going back to his parent club, they've got Dan Kemp could be coming back to Milton Keynes Dons in January as well. So that must be out of 40 odd goals. That must be half their goals will have gone if they both go back in January.
Yeah, definitely.
Didn't Young score in about 6 consecutive games?
I think he did. So. He was just on fire, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was just on fire.
I will quickly skirt over Doncaster Rovers. It's been one of those seasons. I think we've been hammered by injuries. There's been times where we've had 16 players injured. I think any Donny fan with a bit of sensible kind of head on about them would understand that this season was about building a squad capable of doing something next season. I've always had us down for around a 12th place finish. I think I'm still going to stick with that. We bumped us up to 8th in the early season predictions, but we're currently in 17th. But I do think we're in a false position. I mean, we've just won his first point at Accrington ever in the league in difficult conditions. So I think there's positive steps and there's positive moves forward. And I think if we'd have had the record that we've got at the minute with 7 wins, 3 draws and 10 defeats under Danny Schofield last season, where the performances weren't there, I'd be worried again. But the performances are there. We're just not quite clinical enough in the final third, and then we get punished at the back because we make silly errors. I think if we sort out the defence and the attack, we've only got the midfield to worry about, haven't we?
I think Ironside's been a fantastic signing for you.
Yeah, Farl is special as well. They say don't fall in love with a loan.
He's only on loan, Farl, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a shame. He's absolutely wonderful. I'll be surprised if we don't see him at Championship, if not higher, later in his career. He's very, very good.
Well, I've seen Rovers 2 or 3 times this season, and they've always quite impressed me with the style of play and the standard of play. I think they were very unlucky at Stockport when they lost 1-0, and I didn't think they deserved to lose that day.
Well, that's been the story of the season, really. Not deserving to draw, not deserving to get beat, stuff like that. And I think we'll become more solid once McCann's had another 1 or 2 transfer windows. So not too concerned. I think a bit of consistency at the back end of the season. Who knows? We may go on one of those little runs. But yeah, I'm expecting another season in League Two.
Yeah.
On to Wrexham. We thought that it may be a bit of a bedding in period for them, but they seem to have picked it up like it was natural. Currently in second place, 10 wins, 7 draws, 3 defeats. They've scored 42, conceded 31. They've continued the form from non-league, haven't they?
Yeah, they're just I see a lot of tweets from like non-league sort of reporters saying that the gap between the National League and League Two is minimal, and this season again just proves how tight it is. I think 3 of the top 4 have been National League in the last 3 or 4 years. When you've got backing like Wrexham have, and I know they get mocked for their backing of their Hollywood backing and things like that, you expect them to be up there. What a difference Paul Mullin makes to their side when they can sign players like James McLean, whom down to League Two. I still worry for them defensively, even though they've got arguably a better goalkeeper in goal after the Ben Foster experiment. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. They'll obviously strengthen in January. Be interested to see whether they go back in for Luke Armstrong at Harrogate, seeing as though they messed that up on the final day for the transfer window. But I'll be surprised now if they don't finish in the automatic positions as a bare minimum.
Yeah, me too. You mentioned the backing that they get from obviously Ryan Reynolds and Rob McAllen. I can never say his second name.
The other one.
Yeah, the other one.
Sorry, Rob. But what I would say is the fan base is absolutely phenomenal from what I've seen. And I think you look back through previous seasons in non-league before the backing, the Hollywood backing was here. There was still a fan base at Wrexham. So I do feel for them getting a lot of the brunt of people's frustrations that I think comes from Wrexham being shoved down our throats. But yeah, a decent fan base, and hopefully they continue to progress and move up the leagues and get back to where they used to be. On to Bradford, probably one of the surprising teams this season in terms of underperforming. We had them in the playoffs. I think Mark Hughes just struggled, didn't he, at the start of the season and was relieved of his duties, and looks like they may have been started to turn a corner up to 14th at the minute.
Well, you talk about basket cases, Bradford City are case in point, really. They've underperformed in League Two for years and years. The fan base is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, if the attendance police had the way, they'd probably be in the Championship.
Yeah.
But again, remarkably inconsistent. I mean, they can go and pull some really good away performances and away results on, and then go and louse it up at home against somebody they should beat. I can't see this season they're getting anywhere near the playoffs. I think they'll be mid-table, but I think they've recruited a good manager there, and I think if they can build for a real, actual title push next season, I can see that happening. But I don't think I think this season's a little bit too late for them, considering the start.
Possibly, yeah. On to Mansfield. Always a bridesmaid, never the bride. They started on fire, didn't they? They've not lost a game. They have lost a game now, but 9 wins, 9 draws, and only 1 defeat. I think the draws may hinder them come the end of the season once again, though. You turn 1 or 2 of those draws into wins, and you're in the top 3, aren't you? Currently in 4th. For me, they're the best team I've seen this season. Yeah. Absolutely unreal.
Go on, Jonathan.
I was due to see them on Saturday before it got called off because of a waterlogged pitch, and I was looking forward to it. Defensively, superb. Christy Pym in goal, Aidan Flint at the back. Shouldn't be playing League Two football. In my opinion, he's too good. Midfield, Keeler Dunn, again, another one, shouldn't be playing League Two football for me. And you could say possibly their striker injuries could backfire on them, but I think they're pretty much all back now from what I read before the weekend.
And Reece Oates is a hell of a player as well.
He is, and I hope that Clough does something this season, because it's going to look bad on him as part of this always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And he's a brilliant manager, love him or hate him. He's a phenomenal manager for the level, and I hope that they'll get playoffs this season just for their fan base, because they've got a brilliant fan base as well.
Yeah,
I'll say it now that Mansfield will be champions.
Oh, big call from Ian there.
That's a mid-season prediction.
Oh, apologies to any Stockport fans that are watching this, by the way.
Yeah,
I think Stockport will go up. I think Stockport will go up, but I think Mansfield, they've got the best squad in the league.
Yeah. Jonathan, talk us through MK Dons. We had them bouncing back in the playoffs, in fourth. Currently sit 13th. You had a really good start, and it's just kind of ticked off what's happened.
As you say, had a real good start. We got Graham Alexander got manager of the month. Granted,
that's where it went wrong.
Wasn't. Yeah, exactly. Granted, the football wasn't great at all times, as I've said to you before, Dan. I think there were a few games like Doncaster at home we were lucky to come away with the win, and other games like that were like really close. We were lucky to win against Colchester earlier on in the season, and it's just really, it all came to a head at that the two home games. We lost home to Harrogate, and then we drew to Barrow, and the fan base just turned after the Barrow game, really. And once the fan base turned, Pete Winkleman sort of, I wouldn't say panicked, but I think he had to react because it was just getting really toxic. And fair play to him. Only took him 2 days to appoint Mike Williamson once Alexander left, and it's just fit like a glove. Had a week's training, and within that week we lost narrowly away at Accrington, and then smashed Bradford 4-1 at home. And just the football is just what the fans expect. I know we get mocked for several things being who we are, but we do have a unique way of playing, a way that works, a way that's been successful, and some players are really coming to the fore now. Warren O'Hara's coming back to the defender that I know he can be. Joe Tomlinson is absolutely unreal. I've really fallen in love with Joe Tomlinson. I'm so glad we've signed him permanently. Jack Payne falls under that lone player love category as well. If he goes back to Charlton, then maybe Dan Kemp comes back, and then we don't really lose any attacking impetus. But the surprise for me is 19-year-old Max Dean, an absolute S-house of a striker. One defenders hate. He just nibbles at them, annoys them, just upsets them. He's just phenomenal. Just the way he gets his goals. He doesn't mind getting stuck in with 6-foot defenders, and really shouldn't be bigging him up. I should really be saying he's average, but I can't. He's keeping Mo Isa out the side. He's keeping Ellis Harrison out the side. And that just shows the level that he's playing at the minute. And he's really enjoying his football. And it appears this weekend, when we had a weekend off, that him and Alex Gilby had quite a good night out, it seems, if you go off the Instagram post that I've seen.
Tut, gents. Tut.
Do you think, Jonathan? Do you think the playoffs are out of the question, or can you make a tilt for them?
I think we can make. I honestly think the way we're playing, the way Williamson's got them playing in such a short space of time, it only takes 5 or 6 games in your back up there. I think we're on.
It's tight. It's tight. It's a tight division. I think Williamson were brave. A brave appointment, seeing as he came out of the National League. I think it was a brave appointment. It looks like it's paying off. Yeah,
exactly. And if you look at the way Gateshead played under Williamson, it's it's exactly the same as he's come here. He hasn't changed the way he's played. He's calm. He's measured. He doesn't mind saying it as it is in interviews. I think after we had a Bristol Street Motors game, we got pumped 4-0 by Brighton, and he said some players will learn and some players will keep making the same mistakes, and he said that publicly, and that's what I like about him. He doesn't hide away, and it's promising. It's a bit early to say can we definitely get playoffs, but I'm more hopeful than I was probably under Alexander. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, as daft as it is, mate, I'm having a look at my notes, and you're in 13th on 27 points. Wimbledon are currently occupying the final playoff spot in 7th on 31. So there's not much.
We've got a game in hand as well.
Yeah, there's nothing in it.
No, certainly not.
It might go down to goal difference.
Oh
God.
On to our top three at the start of the season. We went with Gillingham. We thought that they'd continue their unreal form after Christmas last year when they got taken over. I think they were the form team in England. Maybe over-egging that. It might have been League Two, but they were certainly very good after Christmas last year. And they started well, but they weren't scoring goals. I think they've only scored 19 goals all season. They've got the worst attack in 20 games, and they were top for ages. They were winning every game 1-0. Currently slipped a little bit. I'm currently in 8th. For me, it's the defeats that are damaging them. I know earlier we said about Mansfield with the 9 draws. Gills have got 9 defeats, only 1 draw. If you can transfer some of those defeats to draws, then you're in the top 7 for me. So it's about staying solid at the back and trying to keep clean sheets and getting that goal at the other end for Gillingham for me. Outside chance of getting playoffs.
Yeah.
On second, Notts County. So another team that came up from the conference, and we had them bouncing straight up. We thought they'd be better set than Wrexham. I think Lee was kind of a real driver for this because he'd seen Notts County and Wrexham last season and felt that Notts County were the more solid from back to front than what Wrexham were. It's proven the opposite way around. Obviously, Notts County in 6th. A tough defeat on Saturday, but a decent enough team, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a decent enough team, but they're prone to the odd shock defeat, as Saturday proved. I think they're obviously with Langstaff up front and McGoldrick, they've always got a goal threat. But defensively, they've been found wanting on more than one occasion. So I think I'm going to rethink this about automatics. I can't see Notts getting automatic. I think they'll get playoffs, but I don't think
no rethinking here, Ian. We fall on a sword.
Oh no, we don't.
I think there'll be playoffs. And finally, another one that we've got spot on. So 2 in this division we've got spot on so far.
That's not bad. 2 out of 24.
I don't want to panic anybody, but we know our stuff. we went with Stockport as first, and they're currently not quite running away with it. They're on 43 points. Second, Wrexham are on 37. So, yeah, not running away with it by any stretch of the imagination, but worthy of top spot at the minute. Jonathan, have you seen Stockport this season?
I have seen Stockport, and I think before we played them, they didn't have a good start to the season, and they won at AFC the week before. They came to us when we were unbeaten, and obviously they beat us. But on that day, they had on informed Louis Barry. I had Nick Powell. Alafe was just ridiculous. I think they just got a striker who's just come back from injury as well. Forgive my ignorance, Stockport fans. Wotton, that's it. Yeah, Wotton, a brilliant striker for the level. They've still got Paddy Madden, which I didn't realise till the other day as well. And I don't think he can even get a run in the side at the minute. Midfield, just ridiculous, talented. and they deserve to be where they are. They went on that massive unbeaten run, and that, like I said earlier, I think they'll get one of the automatic spots. I think probably will go up as champions. They've got a decent home form, as far as I'm aware. I think Gillingham beat them on the first day of the season, and that's about it. And credit to him, because they, as I said, they're just an organised, disciplined, hard-working side, and much like their manager, really. So, certainly going to be tough for any opponent this season.
Yeah, they put themselves in a really good position to go up this season, and we're unfortunate not to last season.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff, and that brings us to the end of the League 2 deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed it. Obviously, Ian and Jonathan's details will be in the description for this video. Please join us tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock for the League 1 deep dive, which we're going to end up doing probably now. But it will be tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and then the Championship the day after. If you've enjoyed this
Should we go and put some different clothes on and come back and play?
just to make it look like we've done it on a different day. But no, if you have enjoyed this one as a little bit of a catch-up, please stick a big thumbs up on it for us. Comments in the section down below. Let us know what you think about your team's season so far. Subscribe to us all if you haven't already. And as always, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.